Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal's space program, where last episode we just trialed this science rover? Apparently this is a science rover, Mark Duna. We just trialed it for landing on Duna, and the landing worked great in the simulation. But we did discover that we had... That's interesting. X4's sound is not muting when I tab out. That's unusual. What happened here? I don't know. For right now, I'm just going to mute X4. Ah! Apparently I'm not going to. What is happening here? Why is this not working? Sound settings, sound off. And it just turns back on when I adjust that. Okay, there we go. Now it's properly off. Excellent. I apologize for that, but let's go ahead and open up our ComSat, because we did discover, of course... Ooh, this is an ancient design. This is not what we're going to be using. We did discover that we definitely need one of these. The Raven 1S here, this is... this variant. I mean, this would get there. There's no doubt about that, but it's a super awkward design. I guess we'll just launch this and call it good. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst. I do want to check before we launch this and make sure. Let's see, is there... Hull an Airstream Protective Shell into orbit of Duna, 5 meter. Yeah, that's not what we're gonna do. I was hopeful that there would be positioning a communication satellite in orbit of Duna, although I did grab a science, do an advanced scan with a rover arm of sand dune over Duna. So that means that we're going to want to land in Northern Shelf, Midland Canyon, or Southern Basin biomes, which should be okay. But we are definitely going to want to launch this communication satellite first, and I think we're just going to launch this guy and get it over with. So we're going to save and launch. And then pretty much immediately when this thing is on its way, we are going to need to send up the rover as well. Just shortly after. So for now, we are going to take off. This is a pretty low thrust to weight. Yes, indeed. And then 0.9, so slightly higher thrust to weight as we get further up. That's fine. We've got 90 seconds left of burn in our side tanks. This is, of course, asparagus staged, so we're not burning any of our central core fuel right now. Are these Reliants? Yes, they are, and then that one's a swivel. Okay, that makes sense. It's been a while since we've flown this particular craft. Yeah. We definitely don't have a lot of thrust to weight here. Oh, I forgot about this. Wonderful. How are we doing on aerodynamics on this thing? I mean, this is not a simulated flight. If I mess this up, I'll have to eat the 100K that this cost. It's not the absolute worst in terms of aerodynamics, but I've seen better. It's a little floaty. Sluggish to react is, I guess, how I would put it. Oh, that's spooky. We are going to have our side boosters falling off momentarily, just trying to hold attitude here. Okay, there we go. Uh-huh. Why was the fairing in that stage? And this thing is moving pretty slowly. We're going to need to hold here. I'm pretty concerned about that fairing, though. If we lose this relay antenna, we've got a big problem. If we lose this scanner, that's not the end of the world. We do need this thermometer on here, though. Well, we're just going to continue burning like this for right now. We'll get to that 45-degree marker. That's an apoapsis of 60 kilometers. We'll just head for the prograde marker right now. And now just bypass that to the horizon. And we're just going to look to push out our apoapsis a little bit further, since we're still in atmo with the apoapsis with this thing. 69 now. And that's 70 right there. Yeah, we need to redesign this launcher if we're going to launch another one of these for sure. I'm just aiming for 75 right now for the apoapsis. There we go. We'll just chill right here. And we will push this out something along the lines of this. Aim for that maneuver node. This is a 32-second burn, so we want to burn this at T-minus 16 seconds. We're definitely lacking a bit on the reaction wheel with all of this fuel here. That's okay. 26 seconds now, so T-minus 13 seconds is when we want to head to. So right now. Let's get this guy into orbit. Looks like we managed to launch without damaging any of these parts, but that fairing was basically dead weight and didn't provide any aerodynamic benefit because of where it was. I didn't check our staging. I just assumed that I had had the staging correct. Apparently I should not assume that. Okay, that's good enough. And with that, we're going to look to slingshot around the moon. So we will set that as our target. Let's check our ascending and descending node. That's fine. We'll focus back on Kerbal, and we're going to want to... the desert airfield? Interesting. I'd never noticed that before. I always read that as the desert airfield, but that is clearly the desert airfield. We're going to want to launch something kind of like this, although target position is there, so we're going to need to be a little bit further since this is pretty far along in the orbit. Something more like this. Okay, and then we're going to be aiming for a pretty tight flyby, of course. So we're going to have to delay this a little bit more. Like that. $14 kilometers. Yep. That's a Kerbal escape for only 861.8 meters per second. We will happily take that. Do we have that left in this tank? Yes, we do. So that's really, really good. So we'll just get this warping. There we go. We'll get into position. T-minus 16.5 seconds is when we want to begin this burn. And we will go ahead and warp towards that. We want to be here. So warp to next maneuver. Excellent. I want to extend our solar panels as well. We have plenty of electric charge for now, but I want to do this before I forget. There we go. Yeah, we've got plenty of electric charge. So we'll just get oriented here. And T minus 16.5 seconds is when we want to begin this burn. So, right about now is when we want to start this. We're, of course, going to have to double check that we're not going to impact the moon here. Yeah, if we nail this node, we won't. But we'll have to see what our final orbit looks like. This projected orbit should be fine. Okay. And that'll be even more fine. That gets us out barely, but we save a few DV, and it's much more safe with our moon periapsis. So that's ideal, and we've still got 100 meters per second left in this, which we will utilize once we are properly out here. So we are, of course, going to set Duna as our target. I don't think we really need to change our ascending and descending node, although we can. However, we may want to run our burn ASAP. That's a year away there. That's 25 days. Okay, so if we were to do our burn about over here to get us to Duna, what would that end up looking like? That's pretty close. And actually, I did not mean to do this. Yeah, that's pretty close. We can delay that burn to here and get a decent Duna encounter, actually. So we can just toss in a little bit of anti-normal to make it more equatorial. That's a little too much anti-normal, I think. Then a little bit of retrograde. Do we want it outside of the orbit of Ike? Probably. Something kind of like this. A little more normal. Yeah, that'll do right there. I think that's pretty good. So that's only in 72 days that we'll do that, and that's a really, really good node. Okay, so we will go ahead and get aligned for that. There we go. Excellent. And now, we will hop right on back to the Space Center. Because we need to take advantage of these favorable conditions of Duna's current location, and also launch the probe. So we are going to open, or rather the rover. We are going to open the Science Rover Mark Duna, and we are going to lift this guy off as well. Now, staging here should definitely be good to go. Yes, and we may get a more energetic launch here, realistically. We're just going to have to be careful that we don't overtake that satellite. If we move basically with it, though, that will give us communications the whole way. So that's pretty ideal. So let's go. And we're going to move basically simultaneously with the thing. Just slightly behind for right now, but like I said, this may be a more energetic launch. In fact, it probably is a more energetic launch. We're going to follow largely the same flight profile, if we can. Okay, let's get tipped over a little bit here. Passing through max Q now. Excellent. Okay, apoapsis of about 40 kilometers. SLS is so much better than our old launch system. 50 kilometers. 60. And we're just heading for the horizon. 75. Excellent. So we're just going to burn purely horizontally until our SRBs are clear. Our SRBs are clear. And we will cut our engines. And there goes the Raven 1S. We're not very far away from it right now, and that's good. We're going to want to remain within contact distance of it. We can go ahead and ditch our fairing at this juncture. Okay, this is going to be a little bit lengthy of a burn. I mean, we don't really know how long it'll be until we hit space. It'll be a different number. So no point in calculating based off this 1 minute 15 seconds. Okay, 1 minute 1 second. So 30.5 seconds is when we want to do this. And we'll go ahead and warp forward towards that. 30.5, here we come. Okay, we will begin this burn right about now. And before I forget, I want to extend this solar panel for now. And we should be entering orbit momentarily. About 30 seconds left in this burn. And we're probably going to have to do an orbit around Kerbal to get the moon gravitational assist, which will throw us into a slightly different orbit because of differing timings. I'm hoping that we're going to remain in contact. That would be ideal. Okay, that's good enough. So we will, of course, set the moon as our target. And this is the Raven's positioning, and we will attempt to match that as best we can. Of course, we're going to have to delay a little bit here. In order to get a similar launch trajectory. But that'll do the trick. And we should, in theory, be close enough to the Raven that we will remain in contact. That's the idea anyway. We'll be taking pretty much the same path. So let's go ahead and warp to next maneuver just as soon as we are aligned here. And we will be aligned right about... It's taking a little longer than I thought it would. Right about now. Okay, we'll warp to next maneuver. Yeah, I don't care about this. You can stop playing that sound. It's 1.8 science. Completely irrelevant levels. Okay, we'll get realigned here. This is a 54-second burn, so T minus 27 seconds is when we want to burn this. So we will warp towards that. T minus 27. So right about now. Checking our periapsis, that looks good. Okay, I think we're good to go. And of course our probe has a little bit of a head start on us, but that's fine. 20 seconds left in this burn. And we're going to want to do pretty much the same thing we did with the probe. Just as soon as we see an escape. There we go. We'll save that extra 0.1 meters per second. Why is our periapsis coming down right now? That was weird. It just suddenly stopped. Whoa. I hit the wrong button. That was my fault. We'll need to fix that. We're just going to pull over to retrograde. We're going to raise this periapsis back up to where we wanted it to be, which was like 150 kilometers. It was definitely my own fault. Actually, this is probably good enough. That's 50 kilometers. Yeah, we're not going to impact for sure at that altitude. Okay, we'll leave it at that. So let's hop on back to the Space Center. And we're just going to check on our contracts quickly. It's a whole lot of nothing right now. Okay. So we now have a bunch of long-term missions that are underway. We don't need to track some debris, but it looks like that debris has all exploded, so that's fine. So our Raven 1S has 72 days, and actually, you know what? We need to set up that same encounter on this particular flight, because we don't have that maneuver node. So, at the apoapsis, we want to set Duna as our target, and we will just push out. And of course, we're going to need to delay this to about 72 days out, or about right here, 59 days out. What does that do to our actual encounter? We're relatively equatorial. Okay, that's fine. Just bring this in. We're no longer relatively equatorial. So we'll adjust this down ever so slightly. About like this. That is too low, to be sure. Oh, hello, that was too much. Too much overcompensation there. We'll just aim for about 72 kilometers. That'll be fine. It'll be a big old braking burn. And I'd like to be a little bit more equatorial. But yeah, this should do the trick. Now this would be a gravitational assist and toss us out about halfway to the orbit of Dress. But we're just going to make a brake pass over here. So that'll be fine. Let's hop on back to the tracking station for right now and take a look at our long-term missions and how much time we have on those. So this is going to be in 72 days. This is going to be in 59 days. So the science rover is definitely moving a little quicker, and it might get there first. That's okay. We can just put it in a parking orbit when it gets there, because we can control with SAS and full throttle. So we can just put it in a parking orbit and then get the Raven 1S there if it is out of range. I'm just checking trajectories here. Yeah, we're definitely moving a little bit more energetically with the science rover. That's not a huge surprise, but hopefully we stay close enough together. So our next maneuver is in 59 days. Fantastic. And with that, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we will continue our long-term projects. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.